Well, a massive power outage hitting Venezuela yesterday amid political fallout from Nicolas Maduro's bogus re-election last month. His government even blaming the opposition, saying, quote, "This is a constant strategy of the opposition, the enemies of this country, to impact the population," as if the population controls the power factories. But others say it's all part of the regime's plan, pointing out that this happened in 2019 during a similar period of unrest. The founder of Dissident Project and Manhattan Institute fellow Daniel Di Martino joins us now. Daniel, it's so great to have you on. Of course, expected that he's blaming the opposition instead of the, ineptitude of his government, who has nationalized many of these utilities. I want to play this from Maria Corina Machado because we had her on last week. She is the opposition leader and really the heart and the voice of the opposition in Venezuela. Here's what she says is happening right now. I want to get your reaction.
Maduro's response to this huge defeat was to unleash a campaign of terror. This has been brutal. Over 2,000 people have been arrested or disappeared. Edmundo and myself, we've been accused of terrorists. We will keep on fighting.
What's the status of these protests and how could these outages affect it?
Well, what's funny is that if we really had enough power to shut down the electricity in the country, maybe Maduro wouldn't be in power anymore, right? But he is. Because this is all a concocted excuse. What he's doing is shutting down the power so that people cannot communicate. Even mobile data is not working in many parts of the country, so that he can arrest and disappear people. That he's continuing Operation Knock Knock. He is going after the rural parts of the country that have even less electricity. My family doesn't have electricity right now in Venezuela. People are charging their phones in the street with power stations that they built, burning gasoline. And in a country that used to have the most electricity, that used to have the largest hydroelectric plant in the world, that has the most oil, there is no electricity. Milton Friedman used to say that if you gave the government ownership over the Sahara Desert, there would be no sand in 5 years. Now we gave the government ownership over the largest oil reserves in the planet, and we have no oil, we have no electricity, we have nothing. This is why you cannot give absolute power to the government, because they will weaponize it against you.
Yeah, fascinating. I thought it was just that they weren't managing things well, but you're saying it's also being used as a tool of repression, the utilities. Great stuff. Okay, I want to move to this because what's happening in Brazil is fascinating and I think has a lot it's sort of a foreshadowing of what could happen here. So a Brazilian judge has banned X in Brazil and is warning that anyone caught using VPN to access X in Brazil could be fined $9,000 a day, further escalating the feud, of course, over free speech. So what's going on and what does it mean for us?
Well, what it means is that we're seeing more and more governments use their power to try to censor the only social media that is not owned by some of their allies, right? Since Elon Musk took over Twitter, now suddenly it's the only media where there's no censorship. We already know because Mark Zuckerberg admitted it in Congress that he was censoring because the government was requesting it.
Yes.
That's what's happening in Brazil. The government's requesting that Elon Musk censor some people because they don't like what they say, it's hate speech or whatever. That's what's coming here. The FCC, the Biden administration is going to try to censor X, then they're going to try to ban it, and it's really scary, right? At least we have somebody who's advocating for us in the social media space, but we cannot allow Brazil either to try to impose their laws on the rest of the world.
Yeah. Well, I think that we need to get to the bottom of whether our country is actually supporting Brazil, enabling Brazil in this censorship, because we've seen this kind of censorship, as you very aptly said, right here in the United States, and we even saw that with TikTok. So we need to have our own free speech censorship discussion here in the United States. Daniel, great stuff. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
You got it.